What's up, everybody? Doing one of my least favorite things in the garage today. Yes, painting. Ugh. I painted this entire garage myself, and I think I did a decent job. But one thing I neglected terribly were the steps that you see here. Some of you picked up on that and asked why, and it's just because when I'm in the garage, I want to work on cars and do car stuff. I don't really want to stand around painting. It just bores me to death. But I usually put on a podcast or something and zone out, and that's what I need to do to get this job done. So let's do it. Oh yeah, much better. One thing I haven't really ever gotten used to is this single exhaust tip. It's a super nice exhaust tip, and I think the fit and the placement is good, and it's just, I could never get used to that single tip back there. You know, the Galant came factory with a dual tip, and I thought the single would look good, and I liked it at first, but as time has gone on, I just can't get into it. So when I have a minute here, I'm gonna switch it out. Let me show you what I'm gonna go with. All right, so I found this 3-inch in, dual 3-inch out tip. Although I would have liked to have gone like a 3-inch in and dual 2.5s or something, a little sleeperish and smaller. This looks way bigger on the table here, but once you get it up there, I think it'll look just fine and at home in the back. And better than this 3.5 or 4-inch, whatever this, I think it's 3.5-inch tip we have up there right now. So yeah, I'm gonna start cutting and see what this thing looks like. All right, that went well. We're left with a really stubby end to the muffler here, but I think it's plenty of meat to work with. We just got to remove this old piece of pipe that's sitting inside there. So let's do it. All right, there's a comparison of old and new. So we're going from this big single to a smaller dual. See, it's a lot shorter than that old tip, so we'll need to make up the difference with a piece of exhaust pipe in here. So I think we're going to be somewhere in that neighborhood. Yeah, somewhere in there. I've just got the pipe and tip just sitting in there, and I already like this look so much better. So now I just have to do a fair amount of jiggling and wiggling and get it all sized up and put where I want, and then we'll tack it in place. So with the exhaust tips all tacked in place for now, before I drop the exhaust, I've been wanting to experiment with a little something. So you can see I have a spot sanded down and circled here on the exhaust pipe. So what I've done is I'm experimenting with something called a Helmholtz Resonator, and it's something you've seen with aftermarket exhaust. Sometimes even the factory does it, but it's used to eliminate drone or reduce it significantly. And so what I've got here is a section of 2.5-inch exhaust, which I've put a little angle in there. So the exhaust, it branches off of this into the resonator, right before the muffler. So to get the party started on drilling this hole, I'm going to use a variety of hole saws that I have. I'll start with this small one and work my way up. Okay, feeling pretty good about the hole here. I think we're ready to tack this pipe up. We've got the Helmholtz Resonator pipe in place there, just tacked in. And we also have the rear dual tip and little extension piece tacked in place. So all of that needs welded in. And then also we have a little cap that I made. I just cut out of some sheet metal. That'll go on one end of that bullet resonator. And then on the other, we'll plug into our pipe here. So let's get to welding. We'll just put this guy onto here. It's done. Let's take it over to the paint booth. So when I was showing you the plans for my exhaust earlier, I realized I kind of glanced over the whole Helmholtz thing and why I was doing it. So back in the 1850s, my man Hermann von Helmholtz came up with the Helmholtz Resonator. Hermann was studying the phenomenon of air resonance in a cavity, like if you take a Coke bottle and blow over the top, how you can get that sound. Helmholtz resonators are used in all sorts of places. Many times you'll see, like for example, in an air intake system of a car, you'll see like a little tube or box that comes off. It doesn't have a filter in it, it's just kind of sitting there. That's an example of a Helmholtz resonator. They're also inside of mufflers. If you see some of these gigantic OEM mufflers, they'll have a Helmholtz resonator type chamber inside. They're used in musical instruments, all sorts of places. So what's going on inside that little box, let's say in your air intake system, is the engineers have used a bunch of math and equations to figure out the exact size and shape of that thing to tune out a certain frequency that they want to eliminate. And the reason they may want to tune out a certain frequency is maybe it's an unpleasant sound, or it makes it too loud for EPA standards or what have you. So on the exhaust side, it works exactly like I described on the intake. You have air, or in this case exhaust, moving through the pipe. It goes into the Helmholtz resonator, bounces around a little bit, and actually cancels out sound. So how you control that is based on the length of the pipe and basically the volume inside. So there are some pretty simple equations that you can do to figure this out. So the placement and length of the pipe will vary based on what you're trying to do. Now, a lot of the times you're sort of limited where you can put these based on space underneath your car, and that's the case for me. This was a particularly good spot that was open and available, so that's the one I chose. So I did a little bit of math, and this was the length I came up with that will get rid of the drone I'm trying to eliminate. I don't have terrible drone in the exhaust, but if I could get rid of just some, it would be really nice. Now, many times you can accomplish this with just a pipe that's capped off on the end. But I chose to throw a little bullet resonator on the end, and that just adds a little more internal volume and a little more muffling too. Sort of fudges the pipe length in case you've gotten it a little wrong from what I've read. So I'll see. This is kind of an experiment, so I may need to shorten or lengthen this thing, but I should come pretty close. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. So that is why I attached that doohickey on there, to get rid of some drone and smooth out the exhaust tone a bit. All right, enough chit chat. Let's bolt this thing on. Okay, here it is, all in place. So I'll keep an eye on that area where the resonator lives. I've got one of those handheld infrared thermometers, so if need be, I can wrap it or take some kind of other heat blocking measure if needed. I can't wait to try this out and see if it made a difference or not. Either way, the real reason I started wrenching on this was to replace that single tip, but it was fun to do a little while you're in there mod too. Well, the car is in dire need of a detail job, but this is exactly the look I was going for with the exhaust. I think that's way better than that single big tip I had on there. So, do you guys hear that drone? You don't hear that? Well, neither do I, because it's gone. Helmholtz, you're a genius. We've eliminated the drone completely. This thing is quiet on the highway. What a difference. What a cool mod. I gotta give the Helmholtz Resonator a huge thumbs up. It has completely eliminated the drone. I just can't recommend it enough. How cool. Thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this video. I wish I had some more scientific data to give you about the before and after of this exhaust mod. You'll just have to take my word for it. But there is plenty of information to be had online about Helmholtz resonators, so I invite you to look into that. So with that said, thanks again, folks. We'll see you next time.